Hello neighbors. This is the second video that I promised before to talk about how we can structure our documents and manage our information just where we are today. Things will evolve, things will change. This is just a suggested starting process. Let's give it a try. Previous video, I talked about our organizational structure and how confusing and confounding it is. And so now we're going to see if we can come up with a way of making it easier for us to find out where our information is stored. I've stored the video on our wiki page and the link on the Plenary Focus Committee wiki page. You'll know what that means in a minute. Where is that document? So the goal is to start with the wiki. That will be our entry point. And up in the top left-hand corner, there's a link called Living in Community. That is currently our RCC wiki homepage. That will evolve later on. We might restructure this wiki or we might use another technology. But I want to focus for now on what we have and see if we can improve our current situation. Yes, so I've already said this a couple times. We're just trying something out. This is just a beginning. So if you see some ideas for improvement, we want to work on it together. So just to review, we have the plenary, which is the community of a whole, which is that green rectangle. We have the plenary focus, which helps steer and guide and shepherd our community activities. We have our committees. Committees have teams, which are ongoing subcommittees. And then we have task groups that are active or inactive that do work on behalf of one or more committees or teams. That's our organizational structure. I'm going to go through a demonstration of how this all can work a little bit quickly, and then I'm going to go through it again slowly. This is just going to give those that get it a chance to go, yeah, thanks, Brian, that's super, but I want you to fix this and that, whatever. But also, for those that need the time, you'll get to see it twice. The first time is not going to be that fast, too. I'm going to come back to this slide when I've done the first demonstration. I'm going to go over to the browser, go to our homepage, go to the Living in Community link, and this is our current, quote, homepage for our RCC wiki. The first first two sections are agreements we've already established. They are done. They're not work in progress. At least that's the goal. At the moment, there's a couple that are work in progress, but consider these agreements, these areas as our product, our community agreements that we will solidify. Next comes the committees, and the committees do the work, right? This is where we do all our work. So the rest is just some other stuff. So I want to go into the Plenary Focus Committee briefly. Then I'm going to come back to, I think it's spaces, but plenary focus to start with. So all the committees have a common page layout at the moment. Ideally, we should keep that, some commonality, some consistency. If you're a member of the Plenary Focus Committee and you need content on this, you can contact Godfrey or myself, and others are coming online. We'll have what's called a wiki team that you'll be able to send in from ask for changes. This is where I put the video link, or the link to the video about the org structure that you've seen. And this is a document, about creating a task group, which I'll show later. So let me just go back to the committee list, the Living in Community page. I want to go to spaces, because today, during the Visioning Fulfillment Task Group meeting, Well, we had the same challenge you've all had of where is that document? I can't find that document. Who's got it? Where is it? What? And these are our working documents for our work, and it's so frustrating. So this Spaces Committee has the same structure. There's the mandate. There's the aims and task list that we agreed to in November. This is our Google Drive for the Spaces. This is where Spaces, documents for Spaces in general can go. Spaces when it has meetings. These are where the agendas can be stored, the working agenda documents. The contact for Spaces is Barry. The committee membership list is not located here because that's currently managed by Margaret on another page. That's the Living in Community After Move-In page. Won't go there. What I want to get into is this visioning group, the Visioning Fulfillment Task Group. Today I created this page. So if you are a member of a task group or a committee and you have a task group and you would like to have a task group set up, you're going to contact me or Godfrey, and you're going to provide me some information, which I'm going to go over shortly. Here we go, into Visioning Fulfillment page. What is missing in here is the to-do. We need to insert the mandate. What's the mandate for this group? But each task group can have its own Google Drive, and then as work is done or work is in progress, you can contact the wiki team and say, can you create a link for information, the document we have on electric fireplaces. All of these documents are in Google Drive for this Visioning Fulfillment Task Group. I just clicked into that link. There's the Google Drive. And if you're getting familiar, it's under Members, Task Groups, and then the name of the task group. And here are all the documents that we're currently working on in that task group. So that's sort of the quick one. I'm going to go back and go back here to Spaces and back to the plenary focus. I want to ask, this is still in the faster version. I'm going to go through this again slowly, a little bit slower. How to create a task group. That document here is the detailed steps of what to do. So if you, in summary, I'm just going to go quickly through this. If you have a task group, then you have a mandate. Let me just increase the font here. You have a mandate, you have members, you have a contact person, and for each committee that you're working on, you have a contact person for that committee. That's probably the structure that makes sense. But what we also need is a member in that task group who's a document manager, someone that is comfortable with technology. So we need someone like that on a task group. And what is really important is a clear and consistent and persistent name for that task group. So that Visioning Fulfillment group, that's the name for that group. It'll stay there. We can never change it. We can add comments to it, but that'll be the name. And the task group has to give to the wiki team, myself at the moment, or Godfrey or others. And what we do is we create a folder in the members folders task group area. We grant edit commission rights, which is all subject to change. We're still working on that. And then we create a wiki page for that task group, all with that same name. And we edit the page. We create a link to the Google Drive. We could list the contact people, we can list the mandate, and we can list the parent committees. And then fourth, we will place a link to the task group on the related committee wiki page. Now, if you are reading along and you're comfortable with all that information, great. I'm now going to go through it one more time in a little bit more detail and say much the same thing. And I just wanted to see what this one. This is the slide which kind of summarizes how to create a task group. So just right, page. So when I go through slower, I'm just going to come back and get to that slide. So welcome. We've talked about our organizational structure, how complicated it is. Where is that document? If you cannot find a document starting with the wiki in this living community, then our system's not working, and we need and you need to bring that to our attention so we can make it work better. The living and community page is our temporary or current wiki homepage. We will likely change that, but this is where to go for now. And this is all on in progress. So if you don't like something, speak up. Our organizational structure is we have our plenary, or we're using that word plenary to mean the community as a whole, because we hold plenary meetings where we make decisions and do our work, set our decisions, mandates for the committees. We have committees, but we also strike task groups. And again, that name hasn't been formally adopted, but it's good enough for now. So task groups is the name of a group of people that are working across committees to achieve some small or large task or tasks for the community. Committees also have teams that are specializing in work, such as the meals team or the outreach team or the rentals team or the development co team, the team that's going to look after our development corporation after move-in. So how do we manage all this information? What do we do? So that's what this is all about. I've given the fast, this is the slow. I hope it's slow enough. So each committee has its own wiki page. So from living in communities, go to the wiki page for the committee. If you know if the task is something to do with ELF, go to the ELF page. If you don't find it, contact us. It should be there. If it's a task group that's working for ELF, it should be there. If it's a task group for spaces and ELF and C3, you should find the task group on all 3 wiki pages. So you click on any committee page, you'll see their homepage. And each committee has its own Google folder. And a folder for meetings and agendas and notes and minutes. So there's a common structure for all committees there. Committees have teams, and task groups have committees. Actually, that's not quite right, but that's okay. So if you're a part of a task group and you're working on some project for, say, C3 and spaces, what I need to create the structure as a wiki document person, and what you need to know where to go, is a clear, simple name for that task group that won't change. So each task group, can you please go and come up with the name and let me know what it is? Simple and clean. It's your name, your task. Come up with what it makes sense for you folks. Let me know what your contact person, who your contact person is. That is for the committee. Help out with the mandate, because I'm going to copy and paste the mandate that you give me onto your wiki page. For each committee that you're working on behalf, do you have a contact for that committee? Who is it? Okay, and it could all be the same person. And is there anyone in your committee that is comfortable being the contact with me, say, and Godfrey and the wiki team? So your document master. Again, it could be the same person or 4 different people or 3 different people. So you got the roles of your main contact, committee, one for each committee, and your wiki contact. I'm not sure what to call that. Document master, wiki contact. Okay. And that's what I was just saying. if you have one of these task groups, provide to the wiki team that stuff. And what we do is go and create the folder on Google. It should be called Google Drive folder. Set up your edit permissions, who can get at it. Going to create the wiki page for the for task group. Okay. Put in the information that you give us. Going to create cross links, or in other words, we're going to put a link on the committee page to this task group. That's what a cross link is. And I'm going to use your information to create the first version of that task group wiki page. So, demonstration one more time in action. Go back. I want to start off at the home page. Come on, please go back. Okay, got to go the long way. There we go, on the home page. So living in community, this is the link to our route. Click on that. There we are. As I was saying in the fast demonstration, the first two areas are agreements that we've settled on. These should be just static information. At the moment, a couple of these are actually task groups, which means the active work should be in a task group. This area, I believe, should just be the final agreements when we've got them done. So a task group such as the bicycle parking is working, where are we? Parkade. We're working across spaces, building, and C3. We haven't set up the task group on the wiki yet for that. The task group for the visioning fulfillment, the task group that was working on the vision for the common space and the furnishings for spaces for the common space, that task groups page does exist. Okay, committees. These are the pages, the links to the pages for the committees. And I'm going to go straight to the Spaces Committee, which is the committee that has the mandate to find the furnishings, come up with the budget for the furnishings for the common areas. And the visioning fulfillment task group is the task group that is working on that. So the Spaces Committee has its own G drive. But don't use that for task group work. Use that just for stuff that really belongs to the Spaces group committee. Very, very high level stuff. And the meetings is for the Spaces meetings, the monthly meetings that Spaces holds. And I'm going to go into the Visioning Fulfillment wiki page. And what's missing, not yet put in here, is the mandate, the contact people, maybe a status report of where this group's at so far, how they're progressing on their timeline. But one thing it does have at this point is a Google Drive folder for this visioning group. And once I put the documents in there, I put, quote, cross links. I put links to the documents here. So if you click on this link, Dining and Cafe Table Planning, you're going to open a file, a Google file, that's in this Google Drive Versioning Fulfillment folder. So look for Dining and Cafe. I'm going to go into the folder and you'll see these 4 or 5 files. There we go. Dining and Cafe Planning. So this is the file in the Vision Fulfillment folder, in the Task Group folder, in the Members folder. So that's our planning document. It's a live editable document. This is where we'll do work regarding dining and cafe table planning, or here's some information about ethanol fireplaces. Here's information about electric fireplaces. And this is the donations of tables for the common room, and this is the donations for common furnishings. So the naming of your documents is important as you go along, because you've got to think that other people are going to come along and read this, and they need to know what this is about on its own. Let's see, what else can I show you? So go back up to task groups. There are some other task groups. They're earlier. They might not have the same structure. I'm going to go back up to members and just point out task groups and committees are in the members folder. The rest are extra stuff. Go back into committees again. You can see so these are the folders for the committees. There's your folders for the spaces. Again, many of these documents probably should have been in task groups, which didn't exist at the time. And then there's the folder for meetings and agendas. I don't know. Yeah, great. They've been using this. So Barry's been creating the agendas for individual meetings, and this is also where perhaps the minutes have been taken. See how I can click here and go back up to members, go to task groups, go into the task group I'm interested in. Oh, vision fulfillment. Oh, there's that dining and cafe table planning. I'm hopeful that with this structure and this process for setting up task groups and for teams in essence, we can make our lives a lot easier. Thanks.